Happy Arvo. Hello. Thank you so much for joining me today, especially you, Beverly. Beverly sent this in as a recommendation. She said there's a lot of things in this video that weren't in other, like culture shocks about Australia type videos. So I'm super excited to watch this. It's by Brooke Seals. Go check out her channel, link down below. Shout out to Brooke Seals. I'm really interested to see what she's got to say and give my take on it. How long is my video, by the way? This video right here. How long is it? You guys are in the future, so you can see. Because this video is 25 minutes long. I usually double. Like, am I going to be watching this for an hour? Maybe. Strap in. Let's go.
Just shocking.
I skipped a little bit because she was just like introing.
Things that me as an American, as a Midwest citizen, I was like,
I'm an American Midwest citizen.
whoa, what's going on? That's kind of different. Also, I don't know anything that's on this list. I made this list months ago when I was there, so hopefully these ring a bell.
Okay. She doesn't know her own list. That's fine.
Okay, so the first thing I wrote down is rugby is huge.
Okay, rugby's huge. Yeah. Rugby's not huge here in America. Maybe it's just because you guys... Well, I was going to say you guys don't have American football, but you have AFL. So that's interesting. American football, I feel like, is the reason rugby is not super popular here in America. Because, I know that'll make rugby fans upset, but they're kind of similar. They're pretty similar. Rugby is mostly, almost like exclusively played in college. Like, not really in high school, not really professionally. Mostly just by college guys. It's kind of like Ultimate Frisbee. Which I love Ultimate Frisbee. Anyway.
And then I later corrected it and I said, no, AFL is huge.
Oh.
So if you're like...
Well, both are huge, aren't they? But AFL's bigger, huh? Obviously. Well, I say obviously, but I don't know. I assume AFL is more popular than rugby in Australia. But rugby is still huge.
You probably have no idea what AFL is, but you probably do know what rugby is. So if you know American football, it's like that, but this is Australian football. So it's the Australian Football League. When I was in Melbourne, I was just walking around the city. Honestly, I was just looking for alcohol. It was in the evening and I was just walking around and then I saw this like giant crowd of people just go towards the stadium. So I thought there was like a concert going on. So impulsively, I decided to follow them. So I keep following the crowds. It leads me to the stadium and then there I see what looks like rugby pictures. That is when I typed in my phone, rugby is huge. And I mean huge in Australia because these crowds were nuts. So I typed that.
Oh, that's funny. That's when she wrote it into this list. Man, rugby's huge. You should see all these people filtering into the stadium just to watch some rugby.
And then I later was talking to people when I was in Byron Bay, and they told me that they were just shocked that I went to Melbourne and I did not see an AFL game. And they told me that I did Melbourne wrong and I have to make a comeback. So...
Oh, really? You have to go to an AFL game? I think, yeah, okay. I'll put that on my list for when I inevitably go to Australia. You gotta go to... I would love to.
In a few years.
And I gotta root for the Tasmanian Devils. I don't know their actual name, but someone sent me one of their jerseys. Shout out.
Australia might see me again watching an AFL game. It's almost like American football in the sense of different states are competing against each other. You know, you have like, let's just say you have the Detroit Lions against the Seattle Seahawks, you know, so you have Michigan versus Washington. This is like that, but with Australia, so you have like Queensland versus New South Wales. Oh, this is a big one.
How many teams are there? I want to look that up. How many AFL teams are there? Because obviously there's not that many states in Australia. 18 teams. Okay.
Kombucha is popular in Australia. That was really different for me.
It's like what hippies drink.
Because Australians actually seem to take their health somewhat seriously, at least compared to Americans.
How weird.
Kombucha, for those who do not know, is a fermented drink. So it is really, really, really good for you. It's good for your digestive system. And pretty much...
I took too many antibiotics a couple weeks ago, and my wife made me chug kombucha for the first time. It's disgusting.
Everywhere I went, gas stations, supermarkets, wherever, sold kombucha. And it was like not just like one bottle, there was a whole array of kombucha to choose from. If you go to like American supermarkets, you're lucky to find one bottle of kombucha.
That's kind of funny because that's the opposite of what like most Europeans and stuff say about American supermarkets. But I guess it only applies to the healthy foods. If you're looking for cookies, you've got 17 different options of cookies, chips, pretzels.
Because over here, no one drinks it. This was really interesting.
Except in California, they do.
Interesting to me. So sometimes it's actually cheaper to buy the healthy stuff compared to the stuff that's not healthy. Now, rule of thumb, it's usually the opposite. However, there was some cases where I was in the supermarket and if you bought the organic stuff, that was actually cheaper than the stuff that was not organic. And that was really shocking to me because as an American, it's flipped. Of course, that's not with like every single...
That's why there's so many like people who are simultaneously poor and overweight here in America. You're like, how are you overweight if you're poor? How can you afford food? Well, it's because the food they can afford is like the worst food you should be drinking or eating. Most people don't drink their food. Anyway.
Single supermarket, you know, like sometimes you'll go in and like it'll be just like how it is in America where it's like, oh, if you want the healthy stuff, you have to pay more. This is a really interesting one to me. Their sushi is not cut. So when you get like a sushi roll, I mean, sure, don't quote.
So you gotta cut it or you eat it like this? Like a carrot?
Me on this, it was maybe just the few places I went for sushi, but this is what happened every single time. If I got a sushi roll, it was not cut. So you would have like this long sushi roll and you just kind of just ate it like a
You're kidding.
hot dog.
I was joking.
This one is
You're freaking kidding me. You guys do not eat sushi like that. Is that how they eat sushi in like Japan? Now I'm questioning everything. No. You use chopsticks. It's got to be small. There's no way you're supposed to... Like a chocolate bar. That's some shit I would think America would do.
the obvious one, but it was a shocking. They drive on the other side of the road compared to America, and their cars are flip-flopped. So when I was coming home from Australia and New Zealand, because New Zealand's the same way, it took a little bit of time for me to stop approaching cars by going to the driver's side in America because I was so used to that being the passenger side in Australia. And especially when I was in New Zealand, I'll get to this with like a later video.
I don't know why that still throws me off too every time I see it in a video. Even though I full well know that you guys drive on the left and you sit on the right. Still throws me off because I think of that as just being like a European thing. But then you've got like Germany where they drive on the right. I don't understand anything anymore.
When I'm talking about New Zealand, but I was traveling with my friend Michaela and we rented a car. And just even like driving on the other side of the road, it feels really weird at first. This one's super weird to me.
Maybe I would, but I would probably die.
On the plane, I realized that a lot of Australians put milk and sugar in their tea. So on the plane, I got offered milk and sugar with my tea, and I was kind of...
Oh, their tea. I was thinking coffee. Tea?
Like, what? So I tried it because I like to try new things. And it wasn't that bad, but it was just such a weird concept because we have milk and sugar with our coffee, which I think they do too, but... Okay, here's a list of different words that they say.
We definitely use more milk and sugar in our coffee than you guys do. I know that. That's why Starbucks fell flat on its face, right? Or at least we use a lot more like crap in our coffee. But milk in tea, yeah, I've never heard of that.
Compared to us.
Of
course, this is not all of them.
We do put sugar in it, though.
This is just some random ones that I jotted down. Instead of elevator, they say lift. Instead of trash, they say rubbish.
If you told me like that there was a lift over there, I would think it was for like some like maintenance thing or construction thing.
Instead of call, they say elevator, they say lift. Instead of trash, they say rubbish.
Usually I think of rubbish as being like, that's rubbish. But yeah, okay. It's trash.
The call, they say bell. Instead of saying where at, they say whereabouts. Which is really funny. One time I was in a coffee shop, like this happened like a month ago. I was in a coffee shop here in the US and I heard someone say whereabouts and I literally turned in the moment, did not know this guy. And I was like, are you from Australia or like somewhere in Europe? Like nobody here says whereabouts. Instead of mosquito, they say mosses or
yeah, whereabouts. You'd say that if you were like being silly. Like, whereabouts is it? If you're talking to a baby, whereabouts is your bottle? Whereabouts did you put it down, do you think? Or something. Yeah, I'm sure somebody does that. Nobody says it.
Or mossies. I don't really remember how they pronounce that one, but I
mossies.
Put in like mosses. Instead of thank you, they say cheers, which honestly I love that one. Instead of you're welcome, they say it's all right. Instead of McDonald's, they say Macca's. And fun fact about that one, when you go to McDonald's, I thought that was just their nickname for it, you know, Macca's. But like you go to get on like their Wi-Fi and it straight up says Macca's Wi-Fi. Like any McDonald's in Australia says that. And
yeah, the weirdest shit happened to me. After learning that you guys call it Macca's, I went to the app store and my McDonald's app said Macca's. Because my phone's listening to me and knows it thinks I'm Australian now or something. I'm seeing if it still does it. No, now it's back. What the heck? But that's cool that McDonald's embraced that nickname.
I'm shook. It's literally like their name for McDonald's. It's not even like a nickname at this point. It's Macca's. This one I really liked. It was an eco-friendly difference. So their outlets, you have to turn them on to actually get them to like work. If you want to use an outlet, you turn it on before or after, like you plug in your devices. And then you turn it off when you're done with it. So that way it reduces energy, which I really liked because it's.
So like if you don't turn off the outlet, your dad's like, who used this outlet? It didn't turn off the outlet. How much power does it use if it's not being used, but it's on? I don't think it's using almost anything, but hey, every little bit helps.
Saves energy. Like
maybe maybe the outlets are different.
It made me really question like why do we not do that in the US? This one's
I wonder how much it saves.
Also kind of obvious, but I did not expect it to this extreme. Their wildlife is wild. I was on the plane going to Cairns and I remember we were about to get off and I was talking to the people around me and I said like, hey, I'm a backpacker, I'm from the States, like what do you guys recommend to do in Cairns? And this lady next to me was like, well, what do you like to do? And I was like, oh, anything with the ocean. I love the ocean. And she stopped me right there. And she was like, do not get into the ocean. And
what?
I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you know, you guys got the Great Barrier Reef. Like I'm gonna get in the ocean. That's the
I'm not afraid of no blue Nellies or whatever.
main thing that drove me to Australia. Not even kidding. That was the main drive.
How bad could it hurt? A jellyfish stinging you. How bad could it hurt?
Factor. And she was like, first of all, we have jellyfish that are invisible to your eye, like human eyes, and they can kill you. They wrap around you and they kill you. We also have ones that have super tiny heads and super long stingers that can kill you. And the beaches have to prevent them by putting in a net. So that's if they don't have nets at the beach that you're at least in Queensland. I'm not speaking for all of Australia. If they do not have a net, I can't remember what they call those nets, but if they do not have them around the beach, you probably should not be swimming. On top of that,
well, shit. That's good to know. They need to have the net or you're gonna die. Oh my God. You know, it's no wonder Steve Irwin came out of Australia. It just makes sense, you know what I mean? Like where else would someone like that be from?
they have saltwater crocodiles, which are no joke. I got to see some saltwater crocodiles when I went to the Australian Zoo, and they're giant. To me, it didn't really feel that touristy.
Speaking of Steve Irwin, isn't that his zoo, the Australian Zoo?
I expected like Australia to feel so touristy, but walking around, maybe it's because like last year I did Latin America, so I stuck out like a sore thumb. But being in Australia, I really did not stick out. I looked like I could be Australian. It wasn't until you started
I am, you are, we are
talking to me and you got my accent that you were like, she's not Australian. So I think that's why, but to me, it didn't feel...
I feel like it wouldn't be touristy Well, half and half. On one hand, everybody wants to go there. Everyone wants to go see Australia. But on the other hand, it's kind of hard to get there. It's not the most convenient place to travel to.
Feel that touristy. Like, I could not tell the tourist from the residents unless they were doing very obvious
The residents have no shoes on their feet.
things, like taking a million photos that made them look like tourists. Also, this could be the time I went, but there was a lot of French people and a lot of Chinese people in Australia. Especially
A lot of French?
in Melbourne. When I was there was like a good amount of like there was like, I think they have like their own little like Chinatown over there, like how New York does, because there was a lot of Asian restaurants,
I know there's a lot of Asians
a lot of Asian cuisine.
because of, its proximity to Japan and Asia. Yeah, but French people?
And it was delicious. There was one night I went and got dumplings, and I was like,
Diplings.
Australians are so friendly.
I love Asian food. Oh my god, I bet it's better there.
It's not like you're passing an average American that's giving you an RBF. You know, when you pass an Australian, most of the time
Resting bitch face.
they're smiling at you. And sometimes they wink at you. And when they do wink, it's not them flirting. Because this happened
sure?
to me several times when I first got to Melbourne, and I was shook. I was like, does everyone have like the hots for me? Like, what's going on? Oh my gosh. But then I was talking.
If you came over here and you winked at a girl in America, honestly, you'd probably seem like the most confident man in the world or in the States. Because that is a move I've never seen it done. Period. To a stranger. I've never seen a man wink at a girl, even though that's like it's like a classic move to let them know you're interested or whatever. Nobody does it. But if you confidently did that, man, it would either get you slapped or get you a lot of dates. Might depend on a lot of other factors.
Some Australians, and they're like, no, that's just them being friendly. Like, they're just winking at you. All of the big cities have free Wi-Fi, which is such a
Through the whole city?
nice advantage, especially Melbourne, that their Wi-Fi was
Because you guys invented Wi-Fi. That's why, huh? How dope is that? You invented Wi-Fi, so now it's just free for everybody.
awesome. I remember Cairns. I mean, if you go to some cities, like, let's say, for instance, Mission Beach did not have free Wi-Fi. But, like, if you're in, like, the city area, I think Sydney did too, there is free Wi-Fi, and that's really nice when you're a tourist and you don't have, like, service over there. This one
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's really nice for being a tourist.
was really shocking to me. The middle of Australia is nothing but just desert. Like, most people live on the coast. I want to say it's 80%, but I could be wrong.
I would have thought like 95%.
There is people that do live in the middle, but it's so hard
What do you call those people?
to
Midlanders?
like live out there. It's almost like living in
Midwesterners?
like Alaska in the sense that there's not many grocery stores and there's not
I feel like there is a name for people who live. Maybe there's. It's slipping my mind.
much to do out there from what I've heard. I never went to the middle, but
Rude.
everyone says that the middle of Australia is nothing.
You can make a sandcastle.
Australian coffee is the best coffee I've ever had in my life. Now, I have not been to South America yet, so Colombia, do not come at me. I've also not been to Europe yet, so any Europeans, chill. I've only been to 2 continents, which are North America and Australia, and I've been to 10 countries despite that, but
How can you be to 10 countries in North America? Am I stupid? I guess I don't really know where Central America divides into North America, because Central America is not really like, I don't know. I just didn't know. You got Mexico, Canada, USA. And then I guess in Central America, which still, anyway, I'm just being stupid.
I've even had Costa Rican coffee, and
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, those count as North America. Okay.
I would debate that Australian coffee is a million times better than Costa Rican. I said what I said. No take backs. And that's me wearing my Costa Rica shirt. I just realized that.
It's that McDonald's cafe. McCafe coffee. You can't beat it. Down under, right? Right.
For real, I drink coffee almost every single day in Australia, and I couldn't get enough. In fact, Australia literally has such good coffee that Starbucks tried to make an appearance, and Starbucks failed in Australia. It failed. That just tells you how good it is. I mean, I'm not saying like Starbucks.
Right, because here in America, Starbucks is considered, well, by like most white girls and people of other races, Starbucks is considered to be the best coffee. You know what I mean? It's their favorite. It's obviously the most popular. So for it to just flat out fail in Australia, that's pretty funny.
Starbucks is top notch, but when you're an American, Starbucks is up there. Okay, I'm about to say a bad word, so any family that may be watching, just skip like the next 20 seconds. So Australians throw around the word cunt like it's nothing. In fact, if you get called a sick cunt, which I got called that.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Week in Australia, and I was really taken back. I was like, what did she just say? It's a compliment. If someone calls you a sick,
it's like a badass, huh?
Cunt. They mean that as like, you're really cool. Like, you're awesome. If they call you mate, like a lot of Americans.
It's like a bad bitch.
Americans, when they're making fun of, or like, not making fun of, but trying to do an Australian accent, they'll like throw out mate. Mate is sometimes a bad thing. Like if an Australian's like, what are you doing, mate? Like, you gotta really...
It's like buddy here in America. Like, all right, buddy. You're not my buddy, pal. It's like that kind of thing, huh?
You're like, how they say it, but it's not always the best thing to be called. I was really shocked on my second week in Australia. I heard a dad call his 2 or 3-year-old son a cunt.
What?
That really took me back. This one's kind of obvious.
You might get arrested here in America if you did that.
But I'm just gonna say it because it was a shocking. Australia is freaking giant, dude. And I say that because sure, it is the world's largest island, but it is also the world's smallest continent. So when I was thinking...
You know what? I'm gonna dispel that myth right now. Get ready, guys. The myth that Australia is the largest continent, the largest island. I'll show you guys the largest island. There it is. You see this? In fact, if it connects to Africa, even better. All this, boom. You see it? See it? All that. All that. That right there is the largest island. Oh, someone's calling me. I'm back. It was the insurance company. I love talking to them.
Thinking about going to Australia, I knew I was gonna do 4 to 5 weeks there, but I was aiming more towards the 4-week side of things. However, like I said,
damn, that's a long trip. I mean, I guess she said she's a backpacker, but damn, I can't even imagine. I've never been away for more than like a week from home.
A couple times already, I spent 5 weeks in Australia, and that's simply because I did not realize how much 30 hours really is. Like, sure, you hear 30 hours of travel, and that's pretty much New York to California. And that's just the east coast of Australia. I met a few people that were doing a whole loop like in Australia, and I can't even imagine. That must take probably like a year to do.
Oh my God, that sounds insane.
Or at least 6 months. Oh my gosh, this one shocked me. And I hope if you're going to Australia, take notes on that.
How rich do you have to be to do a vacation around the entire perimeter of Australia? I mean, I'm not judging, I'm jealous. But also, maybe retired people can do that?
Just because I wish someone would have told me this. Australians' version of like a night out is like an American's version of a really classy night out. Like you're hitting like a nice restaurant. Now, being a backpacker, I did not pack.
So no McDonald's. If we're going out, we can't go to McDonald's or Macca's?
Any good going out clothes. Because I did some research beforehand about Australia, and I heard like The wardrobe is super casual. Like super casual, don't need anything nice. If you're going out to a bar or a club or a pub, you don't need to dress up for it. That's what I heard. Like t-shirt and jeans, that'll do. Maybe it was just the people I went with. Maybe it was just the nights I went or the vibe in the air. But literally, dress nice. Dress nice. Like I said, I didn't pack any.
That's funny. I could imagine there being a big culture difference between like going to the beach or just shopping around town versus going to like the club or going out at night. I guarantee the girls and ladies of Sydney are dressing up when they're going out to the club. I can see that.
Any of my nice stuff. Not a single thing. I mean, I literally anticipated this summer that I was gonna spend most days hiking. So why would I have a cocktail dress ready to go, you know? If I was to do Australia over again, I would definitely pack some nice outfits for going out because the girls over there.
So you're telling me I would need to bring shoes?
Really do dress up, and so do the guys. Another thing.
Oh no, the guys dress up too? Damn it. I thought I could just get away with a wife beater.
Is they have a place called Hungry Jack's, and that's literally Burger King. Like,
I'm wondering if you guys call a tank top a wife beater, because if not, you're probably confused.
Same menu and everything. You go up, you ask for a Whopper, boom.
The only question is, does anybody eat at Hungry Jack's? Because nobody eats at Burger King here. It's an enigma. Nobody knows how it's still in business.
There's also this food, and I think I was just shocked because in America, we don't have this. All over Australia, you'll find these places called kebab shops, and they're not shish kebabs. They're not what you're thinking. When you go to like Chipotle or...
The weird thing is, I'm pretty sure it's the same thing they call a kebab in Germany. Y'all all have the same kebab around the world, I think, except America.
Qdoba and get like meat, like you can get like a bowl there, you know, like you get meat and stuff that goes on top. It's that same concept, but it's totally different flavors. And a huge thing is you can get lamb. And in the US, we really don't eat lamb. But kebabs are really good, and I highly recommend trying them.
I think lamb is really expensive here in America.
And they're especially known for being a drunk food, so.
Maybe. I don't know. People eat lamb chops, but not often.
If you're ever plastered and hungry, go get a kebab. I really like this aspect about Australia, and it's the fact that the way that the parents parent is way different than America.
Super interesting subject. Parenting. I love it, especially I'm a parent now, so I love hearing about it.
American parents. Australian parents are really laid back, and they just really let their kids be kids. An example of...
Imagine that. Let the kids be kids. Damn. See, I do think some people over here in America have forgotten that the kids are kids and they need to do kid things and need to horse around and do stupid stuff.
This is when I was in Noosa, I remember seeing this group of kids hopping from rock to rock, and they were hopping all over these rocks. And I kind of like, you know, being an American, I was kind of like looking at the parents, like, are they going to say something? And it's not because the kids are being bad, but it's the fact that the kids could hurt themselves. I know if my siblings were jumping on rocks.
I'm afraid, you know, here in America, we might get softer and softer. Just kids growing up the way they do. And it's like every generation, it's like, oh, because now there's this whole thing in America. I don't know if it's elsewhere, but it's like gentle parenting, which there's a spectrum of it. But people believe you're like, I know people who believe you shouldn't tell your kid no. It's called, like, they call it gentle parenting. There's different forms of gentle parenting. I know any gentle parenting people out there, I'm sorry. Because I know there's a spectrum. But yeah, you're not supposed to tell your kid no.
Rocks all over the place. My mom...
So it'll be interesting to see how future generations survive.
Would definitely speak up and be like, guys, get down, you're gonna hurt yourself. But something I noticed with Australian parents and even New Zealand parents is they did not have that mentality. They were like, the kids are just being kids. And I kind of loved it. I'm also gonna save you. Hopefully you're not as gullible as me with this one.
Then again, you guys also have some free healthcare over there. You gotta think about that. The kid breaking his arm isn't gonna cost you $3,000. Doesn't that suck for us?
Australian tries to tell
Not for you, for me.
you about drop bears, don't believe them. I met this group of Australian girls and they proceeded to tell me about these animals.
Oh my God, the girls did it to you? Oh man. Hopefully they weren't being like mean girls. I could see that. Like, they were probably just having fun.
Called drop bears, which essentially are koala bears, but they fall and drop on you and attack. And you never know when they're gonna fall or whatever. And it sounds bizarre to believe, right? So I did not believe it right away. I was like, there's no way these things are real. There's no way. I was not believing them, but then they kept going on and they were being serious.
We actually have something here in America. If they try to tell you that you're going snipe hunting, don't believe that. Don't believe that.
And I was like, you know what? Australian wildlife is pretty wild. I believe it. It wasn't until I got to New Zealand and made a total fool of myself.
Oh no, it worked.
That I learned that drop bears were not real. I was staying in this hostel in Wanaka in New Zealand, and I saw a sign that said, watch out for drop bears. And so in a straight face, like being as like straight up as possible, I just asked the worker, I just said, oh my gosh, do you guys have drop bears too? Like, Australia has those. And the guy looks me dead in the face and he's like, sorry to break it to you, sweetheart, drop bears don't exist. They seriously had me going for...
If only the girls could have seen that. Oh my God, they would have been rolling on the floor.
A solid month thinking that these things were real. Apparently, there might be itchy caterpillars walking around Australia. Another thing I learned is they...
Wait, what's this with the itchy caterpillars?
You can legally label anything in Australia as organic in the supermarkets. It isn't unless they have like a certified thing on there that looks a certain way. I don't know how it looks, but there's like a certified stamp that says if it's actually organic. But if it does not have that, you can put organic anything. You could be selling
organic Oreos, organic cheese balls. I don't even know what organic means anymore, because now that I say that out loud, I think there actually are organic cheese balls, like here in America. What does that mean? Did you pluck them off a tree?
Selling organic Oreos just to make more money that aren't actually organic and you don't get sued for it. This one's kind of interesting. So sometimes shopping centers like a Kroger or Walmart, Meijer, whatever, sometimes they're in malls. So you're just like, you could be walking, you know.
Oh, I ran out of battery. Hold on. We're back. Grocery stores in a mall. I've never seen that.
Tax on. Like walking around a Tilly's, and then you walk out, and then there's Meijer, you know?
Wait, you guys have Meijer? Or is she saying like that would be like America?
Another shocking, this one really shocked me, is you don't have to have car insurance in Australia. It is highly advised, but it's not illegal in the slightest to not have car insurance.
So what happens if you hit someone and how do they get their car paid for? Like, do you just have to pay cash? Or can they sue you?
Another shocking is Domino's is actually known as the cheap pizza in Australia. And that was shocking to me because Domino's in the US is like the more expensive like chain.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna... I mean, I don't want to disagree with her when I don't feel like I'm an expert on the subject of pizza. But I have never thought of Domino's as being expensive. I guess Papa John's is a bit cheaper. You know what? That's an interesting point. I'm going to check the prices right now. Yeah, I mean, the fact that they've got this deal where you can get any pizza... By the way, not sponsored by Domino's. They should be paying me to put this right here. But for $7.99, you can get a large pizza with one topping. That's certainly not expensive. But, you know, I don't like to be like, oh, you're wrong. But that's interesting, just that I don't think of Domino's as being expensive.
Pizza chain. However, portion sizes are tremendously smaller in Australia. Now,
are your pizzas smaller?
the US is known for having giant portion sizes, which I always knew, but I didn't really understand that concept until I went to Australia and I ordered a large.
The concept of not stuffing yourself so full that you want to throw up, and then you just wait a minute to burp so that you can fit more food in your mouth. That is a hard concept to be like, wait, other people don't do this?
Pizza for like $8, and I was like, I cannot believe like I got a large pizza for $8. That's nuts. Usually it's like $30.
$30. That's funny. She said $8, and that deal I pulled up was literally $8. But if it was $8 in Australia, that's really cheap. That'd be like $5.
And only to find out the large pizza was the size of our small.
I was joking about the pizzas being smaller. That's a large pizza? Are you guys serious? I would sue. I would have to sue Domino's if they gave me that. Under any circumstances. That's hilarious. Oh my God. What the heck? Are you supposed to eat it just by yourself?
Which $8 still can't beat that. It's not bad. But it was essentially the same price as the US. And you can't get like an extra large pizza. At least from what I've seen. These are all my experience.
That's mind-blowing. You can't get a pizza bigger than that. Man, you guys got to come to the US and you've got to, I mean, you're going to have like a family or a bunch of people, but you can get a pizza this big. Yeah, this big. It would barely fit in this room. A lot of places have a pizzas big enough to feed like an entire softball team of children. You know what I mean?
So like this can be totally different to like each person. Maybe there's places I don't know about, but from what I saw, you could not get like US portion sizes in Australia. So Australia is very LGBTQ friendly, like super friendly with that, especially the cities. Even when I was in like the country-ish parts, it seemed very LGBTQ friendly, and it seems super accepted over there, which is really awesome. Gas is also.
It feels like that's kind of the way the whole world has gone, so that's cool. That's good to know.
Super expensive, and
I never thought about it.
Australia, when I was there, it was $8 for a gallon, and literally in the US, we complain if it goes over $3.
Yeah, but that's USD, so. $8 AUD. Let me make sure, because I'm always saying like, oh, if it's $8 AUD, that was about $5 USD. Let me just make sure, I'm not being stupid. Yeah, it is. $8 is $5.25 USD. So yeah, $5.25 gallon of gas would be ridiculous. I'll tell you that right now. Here right now it's $2.80.
So that's crazy. There's also paper straws in almost every restaurant. They don't have plastic straws anymore, which is really cool.
Oh, that's really cool. Oh, sorry. I was like angrily, I love my plastic straws. But you guys, given that you have so much cool wildlife over there, I bet you guys care more about, or you're more conscious of that kind of thing, huh? Because that's a big thing, like with plastic straws. Like if you go to a zoo or like aquarium here in America, they'll be like, oh, like, don't use plastic straws. We don't use plastic straws. We use paper straws to save the turtles and stuff, which is great. But, I don't ever see any turtles or anything except hillbillies here in Indiana. So I don't feel very connected to it, but in Australia, that makes more sense.
Sure, paper straws are not my most favorite thing or anyone's most favorite thing. I don't think I've ever
Everyone
met a
hates
person
them.
that's been like, oh, paper straws, yay! I love the idea of getting rid of plastic straws. So it's really cool that Australia has done that. 7-Eleven is also huge in Australia. You cannot go past like a city without there being a 7-Eleven
That's random.
present. And at least to me, that was shocking
They sell Slurpees there too. That's what they're known for here in the States. Slurpees.
because like where I'm from, we don't have like any 7-Elevens. And I know
They are common in the East Coast, and I don't know about the West Coast, but yeah.
and I know like that's like it's like
America.
a Midwest thing to not have many of them, but like I was shocked. The bats are also huge
I was shocked when I moved to the Midwest and they didn't have any 7-Elevens.
in Australia. They're no joke. I think their wingspan is like this big.
What is? Bats?
They're also like it's like a Midwest thing to not have many of them, but like I was shocked. The bats are also huge in Australia. They're no joke. I think their wingspan is like this big. I know you can't really see how big that is, but they're
Are you freaking kidding me? That's terrifying.
big.
Have you ever seen that photo of that like Brazilian bat or whatever? Oh my god, it's insane. The vampire bat, I think it's called. Hold on, guys. It's worth it. Hold on. You know what? I can't find it, but I'm going to find it. Hold on. Okay, I found a picture of one. What the hell? It looks like a dog. Apparently that's a real thing. Are they that big in Australia? Honestly, I don't know how big those bats actually are, though. I think it's a Brazilian vampire bat, but they look huge.
Oh, another thing is sometimes you'll be walking in Australia and you'll just be on the sidewalk and out of nowhere
Magpie.
the sidewalk will just disappear.
Oh.
And I mean that in the sense of like
It's like crumbling away. It disappears into quicksand.
you'll be walking on a sidewalk and all of a sudden it'll just end and it'll be like grass or road. And then you're like, what do I do? Like, I've had that happen so many times in Australia and it's really annoying as a backpacker. Like that, my main
That's an interesting little quirk.
mode of transportation is walking. There's also a tax on alcohol for an incentive to not drink it since it's not good.
I mean, sidewalks, a lot of America's pretty divided. Like, there either are sidewalks or there aren't, you know? At least as far as neighborhoods. Now, in the city, there's always sidewalks, which is weird because not that many people even walk here in America. Well, in the city, they do. Honestly, I know people say Americans don't walk, but if you go to the city, you'll be annoyed at how many Americans are walking around. Anyway, there's always sidewalks, though.
Good,
Weird that there
obviously,
wouldn't
to
be.
drink, which is
I wonder what kind of town, like part of town she's talking about.
for an incentive to not drink it since it's not good.
Wait,
There's
what?
also a tax on alcohol for an incentive to not drink it since it's not good, obviously, to drink, which is pretty cool. And after
Oh, that's cool. Once again, it's like the paper straws. Oh, I thought I was supposed to boo. Boo, alcohol tax. As a Midwestern American, I love beer and I hate taxes.
certain time in the night, they stop selling liquor in liquor stores or anywhere. And I was in
It's not a bad idea.
Byron Bay. I remember there was one night that we were going out and I decided
People probably shouldn't be drinking liquor after 1 a.m.
like, oh, I'm gonna go get some like liquor to put in my drink. I was shocked when I walked into a liquor store. It was probably 10 p.m. or something.
10
And the guy in there
p.m.?
was like, sorry, like after 9 p.m. or whatever it was. He's like, we can't sell liquor. We can only sell like seltzers and stuff like that because it's not as hard. Also, based on my
Oh, wow.
experience in Australia, the party scenes end pretty early. They end around anywhere from
Well, if the liquor stores close, yeah, I bet.
11 p.m. till 1 a.m. Celebrities are also not a big deal in Australia. Like,
People stay out till 3 a.m. here in America. I don't understand why. By 1 a.m., I am like, can we please go home? I haven't had a drink in 3 hours, so I'm sober now, and I'm ready to go. But the ladies love to stay out and dance till 3 a.m. here in America, I swear.
how they are in the US, like celebrities in the US are like gods. I mean, like you could ask a kid, like, who do you look up to?
Margaret Robbie.
and they'll straight up say a celebrity, and that's normal. Or it's super normal in the US to see like a celebrity on the street and just freak out, you know, be like,
I'm proud to say I'm not one of those Americans and never have been. In fact, I probably wouldn't even recognize 99% of celebrities if they were in front of my face. And even if they said who they were, I'd be like, I don't know who that is. Sorry. Bye.
Oh my gosh. In Australia, that's not the case. For instance, Chris Hemsworth lives in Byron Bay, and he's known just to like walk around supermarkets and live life like a normal person. And if someone sees
that's
him,
pretty
maybe
remarkable.
he gets asked for like a photo or two, but he doesn't need like a security guard to walk around. In the
good.
US, you could never. Another thing going with that is AFL players, like their version of NFL, they're also not a big deal. Like, I knew someone who said that they were like, they saw an AFL player on Tinder and they matched and they started talking and whatever. That's normal to do. It's normal to be a good athlete. And
okay, but you'd still be pretty excited because they must be rich, right? Not that you should be dating people just because they're rich, but if you're like, hey, I'm going on a date with this dude, he's the quarterback of, I'm guessing AFL doesn't have quarterbacks, but yeah, you'd be like, damn, hope that goes good. Hopefully he's nice, because how much money do they make, the dudes on the AFL teams? I assume they make a lot.
also be a normal person, or to have a talent and also be a normal person, which I really like that aspect of Australia. And the final thing I have on this list is their sports are very different from ours in the sense of, I already told you guys about AFL, but there's other games. The other two games I have here is cricket and netball. So apparently these games are not just Australian, they're also European, but I never heard of them until I went to Australia.
I don't know what netball is. I'll have to look that up.
Netball is basically like basketball, but it's like a girl sport, and they wear skirts while they play basketball. And to be totally honest, it's been a while, and I do not remember what cricket is. But cricket is not American. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and if you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up.
People always say cricket is like baseball, but it's kind of not. It's kind of not. But if you're trying to explain it to an American, that's usually what people seem to say.
Because it'll make you smile, and expect probably like 1 or 2 more videos while I'm on break and home and absolutely bored out of my mind. If you're an Australian watching this, what up? I loved Australia,
what up?
And I definitely plan to make a comeback and go there in a few more years.
Well, that was an awesome video. Damn. Go check out Brooke Seals. Thank you so much to anyone watched this entire thing. I mean, it's 47 minutes long, so I don't think there's anyone left. So I can go, and nobody will see it. Anyway, go check her out. Link down below. That was a great list of things. And that's all, folks. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Happy Arva.